Hi guys, welcome to the first video for skeletal systems. These are the notes, so make sure you get the notes printed off or let me know you need them and pick them up from the front office. So first we've got the basic functions of the skeletal system. One of the main things for the skeletal system is to do hematopoiesis. It is the process of producing blood cells in the red bone marrow. So it actually means blood, hemato, and then poiesis is creation, so blood creation, the process of producing blood in the red bone marrow. Next thing would be the structure and support. So it provides a rigid framework that supports your soft tissues of the body and maintains the body's shape. Something for the muscles and the skin to attach over, right? It gives you that support. Next, we have muscle attachment and movement. So bones serve as levers to convert muscle contraction to movement. It serves as a point of attachment for ligaments, tendons, and muscles. And then last is mineral storage. So bones store calcium in bone matrix. And every time your muscles move, it uses calcium. And if there's no calcium in there, your bones can be depleted. Your body will take calcium from those bones. So it's really important to keep up on your calcium intake so you can do what you need to do without your body taking from your bones for that. Next, you don't have a place to write this on the notes. There's a few things that I add in from the state notes just so that you're more familiar and know what's going on overall. So this is one of those things. So just over on the right-hand side somewhere, write the axial skeleton and then the appendicular skeleton. You don't need to write every word here, but so axial skeleton is the skeleton that's straight down the center of your body, your axis. So that would be your skull, and your spine, your vertebrae, and your ribs, okay? Those are the axial, straight down the center, the trunk of your body. Then you've got the appendicular skeleton, which contains the bones of the extremities, so the stuff that comes off of your trunk. This includes your pectoral girdle, which is your shoulder, the whole shoulder area, and pelvic girdle, your hips, and then the bones of the arms and legs. That is your appendicular skeleton. These also are not on, so list these on there somewhere on the side. You have different types of bones. We have a long bone, which is longer than wide. Sorry. Long bones are longer than wide. This includes your femur and your humerus, okay? Then we have short bones that are about equal in length and width. So these would be your carpals and tarsals down in your ankles, okay, and wrists. So those are short bones. Then you have flat bones, which are wide and thin. This would be your scapula, which is your shoulder bone. It's kind of like a triangle bone, and it's more flat in the back. And then your sternum, so that's the bone right here that the ribs attach to in the front, okay? And that's a pretty flat bone. Then we have irregular bones. These are odd-shaped bones, and these would be your vertebral bones. And we'll be showing you pictures of the vertebrae. You'll see just how odd and differently shaped it is. And then facial bones. You've got some really interesting facial bones inside your skull. And then the last type of bone is a sesamoid bone, and that is formed due to stress. This would be your knee bone or the patella, okay? That is not there as a baby. It grows in, and as the baby crawls around and stuff and uses those knees more, the patella will grow in. Next, we have the bones of the skull. I'm going to grab my my model for you. Okay. So the bones of the skull, it's called the ones that surround the brain are called the cranium. Those are the bones that surround like the crown, okay, the brain. Then you have facial bones that are more down here and inside, okay. And we're not going to learn all of, especially the inside bones, but just know there's more. So here's a skull. You have the frontal, which is one plate. So in the parentheses in your notes, write letter one, number one, and that's the frontal bone. And it goes from the top of your nose. It forms the upper socket of your eye socket, and then comes around to the side. So it's the blue there. Okay, comes around to the side, and just kind of comes up here like a little girl would wear a headband right between kind of like the front of the ear to the ear, okay? And it actually is closer up to the, so your temporal, right there. So it's in front of that, okay? Frontal. Parietal there's two bones for parietal, although they look like they're one because they meet together up here, and then there's a line that comes through here, okay, that meets. But you've got two bones, so the green ones are the parietal, okay, parietal. And then in the very back, I'm lifting it forward. See, I'm lifting it forward so it comes down below, and then your vertebrae would come right up through here, okay. This is the occipital. One bone in the back is the occipital. And so it's the lower back, so the posterior lower region. Then you've got on the sides, see these orange on each side? Those are the temporal bones. You have two of those, and they pretty much surround your ear, like right there, okay? Okay, those are the bones of the cranium. Next, you have some facial bones, and that is the maxillae and mandible. So you have max and mandy. This is how I teach this. Max is the upper jawbone, and the mandy is the lower jawbone. And the way to remember this is that Max and Mandy went to the dance, and Max is taller than Mandy, so Max is going to stand above Mandy, right? Max, Mandy. And Max at the dance is real stiff and just kind of dances like this, right? And so your upper jaw does not move. You can try to move it. It does not move. It is only your lower jaw. So your mandible moves. And so like you can move it all over. And so Mandy is just dancing like a wild lady, right? Just crazy dancing. And so that's Mandy. Mandy's dancing like crazy. Max and Mandy go to the dance. Max is taller, Mandy's lower. Max is stiff, and Mandy's loose. Okay. Zygomatic and nasal. So your nasal bone is just straight down the front, okay? The nose. And then the zygomatics are your cheekbones. So that's the dark blue on here, okay? Cheekbones. Yep, so that they form the lower part of your orbital socket. And we did this in class. If you want to do this, great. I didn't give points for it, but it was really kind of a fun activity. So the kids blew up a balloon and then drew on it some eyes and then the nose and a mouth, and then put all over it the different bones. You can see temporal, occipital in the back, frontal in the front, maxillae, mandible, zygomatic, nasal. Okay, so if you want to do something like that, do it. I'll give you guys a few extra credit points if you do the balloon activity. I don't know that you've got them in your notes, but if you want to, I mean, you could look up bones of the skull, bones of the head, and look at any pictures that you want to check it out. We didn't even talk about the sphenoid or the ethmoid bones, so you don't need to worry about those. Those are kind of inner. Okay. parietal bones, these just go through. So if you want to go through the actual PowerPoint, it will be also on there without me speaking. Okay, lower jaw, nasal, zygomatic. Okay, the vertebral column. So your vertebrae is composed of 33 bones, and this is pretty much what we call the spine. It encloses and protects the spinal cord, and it supports your head. The head with the muscles and brain and skin on it is about 10 to 11 pounds, and that's pretty, that's a pretty good chunk. Think of a 10-pound bag of potatoes, right? So the bones of the vertebral column, you have 7 cervical bones, which are located in the neck. Okay, you've got 7 of those. Then have the next 12 bones are connected to the ribs. Those are called thoracic vertebrae. Then you have 5 bones in the lower back that are called lumbar vertebrae. Then you've got the sacral or sacrum. That's 5 pelvic bones, and they are fused together. So you can't see separate bones. You can see spacing where the vertebrae look like they were fused together. And then you have your coccygeal vertebrae, and there's 3 to 4 bones at the very tip that are fused. We call that your tailbone. Okay, 3 to 4 of the coccygeal completely fused. The cervical and lumbar curves are concavely posterior. So concave, you think of a cave, right? And so if you stand up, the thorax and the sacral will be bent like this, and the cervical and the lumbar are convex. They come back. Okay, so your neck would actually, if you look on the side, if your head is facing this way, it's backwards on the screen. If your head is facing this way, it's going to come this way and then curve back this way, back again this way, and then again this way. So it makes a squiggly snake shape. The bones of your thoracic cavity, we do need to cover a few here. That's the sternum right in the center. Okay, it's made of the manubrium, body, and xiphoid process. So those are the sternum. Then you've got the ribs. The ribs come off of that sternum, and the ribs go all the way to the back and connect to your vertebrae. Okay, so it gives a really nice encasing to protect everything inside. You have 12 sets of ribs. The first 7 are true ribs, and they have their own attachment to the sternum. And then you have 5 false ribs. I'm going to take you over to our skeleton. Hopefully you can see this. We'll see how well it transfers. Okay, so here's the sternum, and you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that come down, and we call these true ribs that attach to the sternum. Then off this 7th one, we have 8, 9, and 10 that come off the bottom of it, 8, 9, and 10, and then 11 and 12, and these are false ribs. Okay, well, 8, 9, and 10 connect to 7 up here, but 11 and 12 are down here. They don't connect up here. Those are called floating ribs. Okay, floating ribs here. But if you can see, they all come around to the back and attach. Oh, I think he's going to fall over. Okay, they all come around to the back and attach to the vertebrae. It's pretty amazing. This stuff through here, I don't know if you can see it on the screen. It's kind of clearer. It's not real bone. This is actually cartilage. We call it costal cartilage. And so when you breathe in real deep, that expands. So that allows for some room and a little more cushion in there, right? Because we still, take some beatings with our upper body, and just breathing. So take a big breath in, That costal cartilage is helping to expand a little bit there, okay? Next, we have the bones of the shoulder girdle. These are responsible for holding the upper extremities into the body, the arms. So it holds the arms in. You've got the clavicle, and that's the straighter one that goes across. You can probably feel it. The bone straight across in the front is the clavicle. And then the scapula is your shoulder bone, and that's the V-shaped bone in the back. Then you have the humerus, the radius, the ulna, carpals, metacarpals, and phalanges, and these are part of the arm. The humerus is the long bone of the arm. The ulna and radius are on the forearm. And if you're in anatomical position, remember standing up. Let me see if I can move this way. You can see anatomical position. Oh, this is tough on the screen. With the thumb up, the thumb, when you move your thumb, you can rotate your thumb forward and back, right? Forward, back. So the bone that's closest to the thumb, that's the radius. You can rotate it, okay? That's how I remember it. Radius R, rotate, okay? And so in anatomical position, it is lateral. And then the ulna is medial, closer to the midline. Okay, radius on the outside, ulna on the inside. Your carpals are your wrists. Metacarpals are the bones in the hands, and they have lots of names. You've got 8 different carpal bones and many metacarpals, because within your hand you've got 3 bones on each finger. I'm not making you learn all of those names. And then you've got in the phalanges. Yep. Okay. If we've done these, wrist bones, hand bones, phalanges. Okay, bones of the pelvis. You have the ilium, ischium, and pubis, and they are, it's all one pelvic bone, and it's split up into the different parts of the ilium, ischium, and pubis. Together, these 3 bones are fused and are called the os coxae. The fused os coxae articulate with the sacrum, and articulate means makes a joint, connects to make a joint. So the ilium is the top, the ischium is the back side, and then the pubic is the down front side. So here you go. Here's a better picture of each part of it. Okay, the ischium, ilium up top, ischium down here, and pubic down here. Okay, so now the bones of the legs. We have the femur, which is the thigh bone, the patella, which is the kneecap. Remember, we don't have when we're born. It grows through stress. Then we have the tibia and fibula. And how I remember which one is which is I remember the femur is the largest bone in the body, and that's in the thigh. And then one of the lower bones below, the smaller one, is the other F. So the smaller one is the fibula. So that's the lower leg bone, not much weight bearing. So the tibia is the one that's really thick here, the bigger one of the lower leg, and then the fibula is just off to the side a little bit there. So the fibula is lateral to the tibia. Then you have 7 ankle bones. Those are called tarsals. 5 foot bones, metatarsals, and then the 14 bones that make up your toes, the phalanges. And if you notice those, and the same thing with fingers and toes, there's 14 bones, 3 in each of your fingers, and then 2 in the thumbs or the big toe. Okay, awesome. I think we're going to stop there. Make sure you've got all that information in your notes, and we'll pick up from here next time. You guys are awesome. Email me if you've got any questions. Bye.